Hi, welcome back. So in our third video here, we're going to talk about storing and transporting your weapon safely. Okay, so first of all, it is important to store your weapon at home, to lock it up. Your weapon should never be left unattended. It needs to be stored in a manner that you're preventing unauthorized people from getting at the weapon. So if it's just you and your spouse or whatever you want to have access to it, then you're the only people that should know the combination of your safe or should have access to the key or whatever the case may be. So we want to make sure nobody gets to your weapon that you don't want to. All right, so there are several different options for storing your gun. You can have a safe. We have here, which opens up, it's biometric, or you can have a combination. They make lots of different safes on the market. You can get whatever you need, and you can store your weapon in there. And there are different options for storing your weapon in there. When I get home at the end of the day, I can take my weapon out and unload it, removing the magazine, locking the slide to the rear, doing a good visual and physical inspection. Now I know that it's unloaded, and then I can put it in my safe, right? And I'm good to go. If I don't want to have to unload every time I put it away, and the holster fits inside the safe, I could just leave the gun holstered and put the whole thing inside the safe and then close it. Okay, that's what I do personally. My weapon and holster fit inside my safe, so I'm not loading and unloading every day. I'm just taking the entire holster off, putting the whole thing right in the safe. Gun's not going to go off when it's in the holster. So you can store the loaded gun in the holster, just lock it up. If you're going to unload it, you probably want to put the ammo somewhere else so you're even being more secure and separating the ammo and the firearm. If you don't have a safe, and adding to the safe part, the safe should be bolted to something that cannot be easily carried away. If I just have the safe sitting there and the enemy can just grab the thing and roll out with it, that does not work. We want to bolt this thing to something that cannot be easily carried away. Okay. If you don't have a safe, there are other options for locking the gun up. New guns, most new guns, come with a cable lock. And a cable lock, this is an older one, used one. We lock the slide to the rear on our nice empty unloaded gun, and then we run the cable lock down through the magazine well, and we lock it down here. I'm not actually locking, I'm just going to go through the motions here. Then I can send the slide forward on the cable. You can't load this thing when this cable lock is locked. I can't get a magazine in there. I can't get around in the chamber. I can't do anything with it when the cable lock's there. Now, a cable lock can be cut, although it's not that easy to cut. Done it as an experiment before, and it is not that easy to cut. You can also use a trigger lock. This covers the trigger guard. Again, I would do this with an empty gun. I would not leave my gun loaded and put a trigger lock on it. I would unload my gun first, but it goes over the trigger guard like so. You probably can't see this very well. And then locks into place, and turn the key and pull it out, and it's going to stay there. And that prevents anybody from accessing the trigger. It's not a bad solution, but I would also unload first before I start putting anything inside the trigger guard. Either way, we want this thing secure so people can't get at it. Somebody would have to have the key in order to get the trigger lock off in order to use the weapon. So you got safe, you got a cable lock, you got trigger lock. There are lots of different options out there. The advantage of the smaller stuff, the cable lock and the trigger lock, is that you can bring them with you somewhere. If you're going, I don't know, to stay up in your cabin in the mountains for a couple of weeks and you're not able to bring your safe with you, you can bring your cable lock, you can bring your trigger lock and still be securing your weapon when you're on the road. That's something that you need to consider. Be careful loading and unloading. If you're unloading to put it in the safe, be careful. Follow your safety rules. Be smart about it. If you don't want to load and unload to put it in the safe, get a safe that accommodates your holster and just put the whole thing right in. All right, as far as going to the range, going to a competition, going somewhere and you're transporting your firearm, the firearm should either be in a holster, and we can give you guidance on that, but if you're not up to that level and you're just looking as a beginner to come to the range and practice and get used to it, transport the firearm in the case that it came in. Okay, just open this thing up, take your unloaded firearm, put it in the case, put your mags in there, bring it to the range. Good to go. That's all you got to do. You might want to separate the ammo and the weapon if you really want to be cautious, but you can transport it in the case it came in. So we're keeping these guns locked up when they're not on our person. When they're not on our person, they're locked up. When we're transporting them, they're in a case, they're in a holster, they're in a gun bag, somewhere stored safely, either in a holster where the trigger guard is covered or unloaded. We're going to go over some fundamentals of marksmanship in our next video, but keep your weapons stored safely, please.